So for the listeners, let me briefly introduce myself. My name is Nirmala Raju. Most people know me as Nila or Nimi. Um, Narmada, can you please introduce yourself for us?
Oh, sure. Once again, it's such a pleasure to connect with all of you. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, I'm Narmada Akshat from India, and basically I am a channel for the masses of light, the angelic realm. And to make the long story short, my work in the spirituality came up from the age of 9. Usually, I was very sick. Doctors were not able to, diagnose or help a lot. But until I was 16, I had gone through this pain of the joints and everything. And then I was introduced to energy healing modalities. And then from the journey started, one step at a time, like new opening, these new doorways opening up one by one. And here I am today, and we have a wonderful group at Facebook known as the Online Lightworkers Oasis. And if you can visit the fan page at the event section, you can find all of our updates about our offerings and everything. So right now, that's what I'm doing. And
That sounds
we are
really
also planning for a local, a local formal office setup here because it's like 4 years now, and our work is mostly online, and we have already started to share our, local classes. We have a beautiful pyramid locally in my city, and every Saturday we gather like 20 to 30 people. We gather together and meditate. So that's what's going on for me. What about you, Nila? What's going on with you?
wow. Okay, that sounds really magical, Narmada. I have been doing access consciousness for the past 1.5, 2 years almost. It has really changed my life. I've learned a lot of self-help techniques. Before that, I started my healing journey in 1997. I started with Reiki and graphology and chakra healing and stuff like that. I've been repeatedly talking about this as well. So some people might get bored. Doesn't matter. Okay, so what happened was for me, every time I learned something, it used to work for me, and then it stopped working. It used to work wonderfully for everybody outside. I used to give sessions for families and friends. Every time I learned something new, I used to share it with people, work with them, and it used beautifully. But for me, what used to happen is like it works for some time and it used to stop. That is how I kept going, one after the other, one after the other. Okay, but the main reason why I was doing that was I was thinking there was something wrong with me. Like you said, doctors couldn't diagnose anything. For me, it was totally emotional. I didn't feel I fit in. I fit in anywhere. It's like I was different all the time, wherever I went. In school, in college, in corporate life, or in writing circle, anywhere, I was different, somewhat different. And you know how the society sees the difference is not celebrated, but it is made as a wrongness. So I bought into that idea, and I thought there was something wrong with me all the time. Okay, that is what I was trying to fix with these healing techniques. And yes, they used to work, and they used to take me to a particular level, a small distance, and then not anymore. It was like an upward spiral all the time. And then I found access consciousness in one of the Mind, Body, Spirit festivals. It was a taster session for 20-25 minutes, and oh my God, I couldn't just open my eyes. It was extremely relaxing, and the facilitator was telling me that, oh my God, you have lots of potential. Potency is the ability to transform, ability to help others to transform. So she said, I perceive lots of potency in you, and what are you doing with that? I said, oh well, okay. I've been helping my friends and family. She said, okay, we have access consciousness boards class. Would you like to join? My opinion was that, okay, I've seen so many of them. what is going to be new here. But that feeling of relaxation, that feeling of calm and peace lasted for a couple of more days. I was very surprised, and I took the boss class, and that was the best investment I ever made in my life so far. That kind of changed my life. What I learned there was basically there is nothing wrong with me. There is nothing to change. There is nothing to fix. And the difference I was is the gift I can offer to the world. The difference I am today, embraced today, has changed my life. That is what I should say. And what happened was the moment I realized there is nothing to fix in me, the energy, the effort I had locked in to fixing myself got released, and totally, abundantly. And I started doing advanced classes and became a boss facilitator. Boss facilitators can teach access consciousness boss, and then I became a certified facilitator. That means I can create my own classes with access consciousness tools, and I can also teach a foundation and level 1. And I'm giving all these classes now. I'm totally thoroughly enjoying all of these. Okay, that's enough about myself, Narmada.
Great story.
We have lots to talk about, but it was such an enjoyable journey. So when you asked, I just felt like sharing. Okay.
Thank you.
So let's talk about you and your experience with spirituality. You said you are channel for Masters of Life. Is that right? Masters of Light.
Of Light. Yeah.
Light. Yeah. Okay. So how did you start doing this? How did you recognize that you can channel?
Oh, recognition. Well, as a child, I would usually see, every time there was total darkness, there was no tube light or bulb, I could just see the violet light around me, and I used to think that that's very normal.
Right. Okay.
And I thought people would be seeing it. And until I was like 11 or 12 years old, I used to ask my friends, do you see that violet light? It's so bright here. It's not that bright there. And they would just look at me like anything, as if, as you just rightly said, the difference creates fear, in the mass consciousness in that sense. And they were like, are you crazy? Or maybe you're just being too spiritual and things like that. So, at the point I began to find myself as something wrong with me. I used to tag myself, oh, there's something wrong with me. I'm not that of a normal kind of thing. And however, when I was 16, I was introduced to energy healing modalities, and I started experimenting on that and got back my health like within 3 months of daily healing and meditation. It started, as a hobby to heal others as well. I never thought that I would be coming to this place as a professional, so to speak. And then I chanced into Jess Mohin's work. Her website is selfempowermentacademy.com.au. And there I learned about her research work about prana nourishment, or living on light, or what you can say as the ability in the human body to feed and nourish itself directly from, the life force energy, prana, mana, chi, whatever we call it. And then from her work, I got introduced to Dr. Joshua David Stone's material, and his website is iamuniversity.org. And then, that's where I started thinking that it seems right. It aligns with me. It seems very much aligned with me. Just like you, I also ended up in various healing modalities, only to find that I do not belong there anymore, kind of thing.
Right.
And one day Spirit just guided me that, you know what, you're all born to be unique here, and that's okay. Just take whatever you can and leave behind whatever doesn't matter. So that was like the aha moment for me. And, so from that point, when I was introduced to Dr. Joshua Stone's material, I, started doing channeling work, and that's how I started doing channeling work and experimenting with people's feedbacks, how they're feeling with the classes and meditations. The feedbacks were very amazing, and that's what's keeping me up.
Wonderful. Okay, and I'm also a medium, clairvoyant, and trance, and I see that a lot of times people are so fascinated with our work, and they would like to learn how to do this. Okay, especially in
Absolutely.
India, everywhere I go, they keep asking me whether I conduct classes for
Mm,
becoming a medium or to channel. So
mm.
what would you like to tell them?
Oh, of course. There is a wonderful book by Doreen Virtue that's known as How to Hear Your Angels. You can like use this book as a starting point, and then if you can go to youtube.com, you can type channeling space Just Muheen. Just Muheen gives, I guess, a three-part series on just channeling, on how you can start channeling as well. And the thing is, it's really amazing to be channeling all of these wonderful stuffs for service, but the masters want us to be the light rather than to just be the channels for light. Do you see? So, aspiring to become a medium or a channel is a really wonderful thing, but we are not meant to be, so to speak, remain there. We are meant to just be the light every single moment. And the truth is, what I believe is every single person is a channel no matter what. Someone is channeling their ego, someone is channeling their inner child, someone is channeling their heart self, someone is channeling just their mind, you know. So when we start doing conscious channeling work, so to speak, we are taking control of what moves through the inner planes, through our bodies, through our words, and through our actions. So that's what I would recommend about starting with channeling.
That's very, very nice insight, Narmada. Wonderful. So a lot of people get fascinated because this is something out of the ordinary, rather than,
Mm.
knowing why we do that
Mm-hmm.
or how we can contribute with
Mm-hmm.
channeling. As you said, everybody is a channel in one way or another.
Mm.
And would
Yes.
you would you think channeling the higher realm needs some practice or exercises
Oh
to
yes, of
kind of,
course, of
yeah.
course, of course. Just channeling is like communication. We even need communication to communicate with each other, our family members, relations, everything. So the more we practice, the better it goes. And another thing for channeling is it's very, very important for us to keep our lifestyle in a high vibration mode. Let's say, of course, I like to keep myself out of judgment, but let's say I love having coffee sometimes, okay? So if I'm going to channel a session, or if I'm
Mhm.
going to give a private session on channeling about the insights my client wants to have, what I will do is I will not have the coffee at least 4 hours before the channeling starts. So
Mhm.
that's my way. So it's very, very important for us to keep up with the lifestyle. And again, you can go to youtube.com and look for a Luscious Lifestyle Program. You can type Luscious, Luscious space lifestyle space program, and you will find this 8-point program to keep our energy fields intact or aligned with source energy, so that it's not only meant for, so to speak, channels, but also for all of us, who want to remain in good health, who want to prevent illness, so to speak. So yeah, it's about.
Great, you are giving us lots of tips. Thanks for that, Narmada. And I
Thank
want,
you.
yeah, I've been listening to lots of channeling for a long, long time. Have you heard about Crayon?
Yeah, I've heard about Crayon.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Crayon channelings have really helped me whenever I used to be in distress in the past. I know when I was going in that spiral, upward spiral, I used to
Hmm.
listen to Crayon quite a lot. Um,
Hmm.
from the past, the recording of the past channeling, whenever
Hmm.
I listen, I hear just at least one sentence that exactly suits my situation, that lifts me up from wherever I was. It used to be wonderful, really. I do hear every now and then, but not as frequent as I used to. One thing I wanted to ask you was, I've been listening to lots and lots of channeling from Crayon, from Theo, from Bashar, and there are lots of
Hmm.
such good channels, Saint
Hmm.
Germain. And
Hmm.
what do you think channeling is contributing to this world today?
Oh, definitely. It's bringing light, information. It's bringing new perspectives as well. And channeling is also like a filter. It's like, all of us, the thing that you talked about in the beginning, the uniqueness that you are into the world, and that's how you came into the access bar consciousness. This is what the different channels are offering as well. They are unique personalities unto themselves, and that's what they have to offer the world. Unique perspectives, the celebration of differences and uniqueness, and also cooperation for different philosophies or different viewpoints coming up together to create something totally new. As what the masters refer to as the anchoring of the golden age on earth. So that's what it's offering. Light, information, and definitely a raise in consciousness. Previously, people were like, you are someone special, or you are someone ordained by a certain ministry to connect with God. But as people see that there are so many channels around who can connect with spirit in one way or the other, they are realizing how empowered they are, And I always share, although I'm a channel as well, I always share that the inner guru or the inner teacher that is within us is always the one to be trusted upon, so to speak. It's always the one to be counseled about, and take other channelings with a pinch of salt, because everyone has their own filter. But just take whatever suits you and offer the rest to the spirit to come in divine time to you.
That sounds so light to me, really. I used to do lots of private sessions with spirits, spiritual readings for people. And one point I found that, people start looking for answers for even simple life situations. Like it was like they were giving up their own knowing because they can just get some instruction or some suggestions or information from spirit world, and they can simply follow it, not taking responsibility for their life. It felt so heavy for me. So you are kind of sharing the same kind of information there. How do you handle such situation?
Oh yes, that's a beautiful question. You see, what happens is future is always in the making. Future is always in the making. We are always making up. It's like I once asked my guides, what is the difference between destiny and free will? And is there only just free will, or is there only just destiny? Now, what I got, the answer is very confusing. I got is both are there. So I was more confused. Both are there. I was like, Now that's again a next confusing point, like a trap. And then my higher self started to share that the more we begin to tap into the light, the more we are able to recognize ourselves as the co-creators with the divine. That is to say, the more light and love we begin to radiate through our fields, through our consciousness, the more we can, so to speak, create the future, whatever we want, in our own terms, like that. So every time a client asks me a question regarding a future reading, I always, tap into the future. And sometimes the future is just cooking up, and I would just say, clear no, I'm not getting anything out of that. Or sometimes I would just say that, the future is in the making, and it's like this marble, like the children play, the marble balls.
Yes.
And there is the kind of probable trajectory of the marble ball, where it's going to go. It's left or right or front, kind of. So I always share that, this is the most probable future that you are creating if you continue with this kind of vibration. Now, if my client doesn't like the outcome, so to speak, then I would channel the insights about how they can shift their vibrations, like raising the lifestyle, let's say forgiveness work, let's say inner child work, all those light vibrations thing. So I recommend the client according to what his or her guide suggests, and then their vibrations are changed. So that also transforms their future a lot many times. And of course, it's always up to the client. I'm the one who is there to say, oh look, here we are at the oasis, and here is the water, Now it's your choice if you want to drink it or not, So that's where I am like off the responsibility. I just share the tools. I just have the prescription, so to speak, and I share this is where you will need to follow. And if you follow it, that's okay. And if not, that's okay too. But
Absolutely.
This is what it is going to create in terms of a future.
Absolutely, yeah. So in your point of view, how would you differentiate religion and spirituality, Narmada?
Differentiate between?
Religions and spirituality.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Nowadays, in the New Age movement, people are kind of allergic to the word religion or to the word, ministers, religious ministers like that. But the interesting thing is, if you look back to religion, religion was our first, right from our, very childhood, when we opened our eyes and when our parents started to talk about God, religion was the first reference point to God, all that is infinite energy, right? So definitely religion is taking a shift right now as well, and it is required in that sense. But in terms of spirituality, what I perceive from my point of view is spirituality's field is way vaster. It's like, we are spiritual beings having a human experience, or in a better way, let's say, we are souls having a human body, So for me, spirituality is in every single area of my life, whether I'm going to the market, how I'm driving on the road, how I'm talking with people, how am I spending my time, what I'm reading, what I'm sharing, what I'm thinking, everything covers spirituality for me. So
Thank you.
that's what I perceive in that.
That's an interesting point of view. Thank you, Narmada. Narmada, there is somebody at the door. I'm just going to go and come back in a minute. Sorry about it.
Sure. No, that's okay.
I'm back. Sorry about it.
Oh,
it's interesting. Okay. It is a call from a religious group. I told them that I'm in the middle of a recording about spirituality. Wonderful. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right. Okay. And that's an interesting point of view, Narmada. And how do you think spirituality helps people with physical healing?
Physical healing. If you see the word wholeness, WHOLENESS, it's about whole being, or if you see the word holy, that's coming from the same root word, that's whole, So we as humans are not just physical bodies. A medical scientist used to share before that it doesn't matter whether the pregnant mother is stressed or not, it won't affect the baby. But now they say keep the mother as calm as possible, as nurtured as possible, so that the baby feels okay. Science is gradually, kind of developing
embracing the oneness.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's like the bridges are there, and the veils are getting thinner and thinner between science and spirituality, in that sense. So that's what I feel about it. It's like oneness. It's just coming.
Yeah. Can you share probably a magical recovery apart from you, physical recovery?
Oh yes, absolutely. I work regularly with my clients, and one of the most amazing cases that I remember right now is of one of my, relatives. She fell on the floor. It was raining, and she fell on the floor. She got slipped, and there was this, what I should say, a pain in her muscles for like 15 years or so. Okay, and then she came to me, and we did an energy healing session on her. I never thought out that it would be so powerful. And right after the first session, what happened is she reported that, oh my God, the pain is gone. It's 70% gone. And I was like, are you serious? Is it real?
After
And she was like,
15
oh
years.
yes. Yeah, absolutely. After 15 years, the 15-year-old pain was just it's gone like anything.
Mhm.
And, so she was like, it's gone 70%, it's gone. And the next day we did healing as well, and then she was very much well. She wasn't cured, so to speak, completely, but 90%, plus she was cured. And of course she had to travel, she had to go back to her own home, so we didn't get the chance to connect again. But, that was one of the most amazing cases that I saw of so-called spirituality healing people,
How does it
physically. So,
how does it get any better than this? And what
oh,
do you exactly do in your spiritual healing session, Narmada?
oh yes, what I do usually, let's go back. The one which I started with, the 15-year-old, the 15-year pain which I'm talking about is,
Mhm.
I followed the so-called protocol, of the energy healing modalities, do this, do that kind of thing. Tap into the crown chakra, tap into
Okay.
spirit, and allow the light to flow through your hands. The usual
Mhm.
protocol that we have of energy healings. But now what I do these days is I tap into each individual chakra of a person. Let's say a
Mhm.
client comes to me, wants to have some form of insight. So what I do is I tap into the energy and try to understand why they are going through this and what is their perspective about this situation. Now, I try to see the situation from their point of view so that
Mhm.
I go into non-judgment, so that I have a wider perspective. I can be more empathically intuitive to my client, so to speak.
Okay.
And from that perspective, I begin to ask the masters or angels of light to, help me to use the right words and to show me the solution, so to speak. And then I receive insights or intuitive guidance for the client about what to do and what is causing the so-called blockage in the situation. And from there, the masters, right in the session, they share the tools, what the client can do. Usually it's like a meditation or like an attitude shifting kind of thing. And that's
Right.
how we work through. Mhm.
Right. Wonderful. And would you suggest any kind of daily routine for people to um, follow
Of
in
course, oh yes, of course. The Luscious Lifestyle program that we talked about on YouTube is a
yes.
wonderful thing to follow regularly. And personally, I believe breath work, especially breath work, before going to sleep and just after, when you wake up in the morning, is a wonderful thing to add to your schedule. Just 5 minutes breath work, deep and fine connected breathing that really
Hmm.
calms the mind and aligns the energy. So that's what I would recommend.
Wonderful. Okay. And does this help people with severe depression as well?
Oh, of course, of course. As shared before, we are whole beings. We're not just bodies. Our mind influences our physical body influences our mind, So definitely when we calm our mind more and more, when we align ourselves, and of course, it's not to say that don't take the medication, just take the medications, whatever your physician has, prescribed to you. But to accelerate your own healing, you can definitely add to yourself energy through yoga or Tai Chi or Qigong, things like that. Or maybe if you have access to an energy healer at your place, go to the energy healer and just trust into your own heart. Would the healer be okay for you or not?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what would work for you. And what I believe is everyone is individual and unique. Let's say what worked for me is not necessarily will work for another person. So it's all about your own discernment, your own inner voice, that will guide you.
I get that totally. No, absolutely. Everybody is unique and everything may not work
Mm-hmm.
for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that is so cool. One excuse I often hear from people is that they don't have motivation to get well. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so would you, in such cases, would you, how would you motivate them to get well, or would you just leave
Mhm.
it to their choice?
Uh-huh. And that's where my human ego doesn't likes. Where my human ego is like, for a while it may go like, oh, I'm like this, I'm like the savior, I'm healing and things like that. And that's where I'm on my knees, and that's where the universe is reminding me, hey, do you see, you're not the healer, you're not the savior, you're just an instrument. I can use it like a pencil if I choose to, and if not, that's okay. I will use another one. you know. So the thing with talking about people who are not having the so-called motivation, the first thing is I try to counsel them to try to get to the root of why they want to remain in the situation. Maybe it's about, maybe they're getting attention from the family members. Maybe they're getting an excuse of, not taking responsibility, maybe. So if the client is going to, work in counseling with me, then sometimes we do work on. But in cases where the client is simply not willing to do literally anything, I just share to the client, keep doing your prayers, whatever spiritual practice you do, and anytime when you feel to connect back with health, do ring me up, do call me, do connect back with me if you feel like. So I kind of just leave it to the client, and I just remind myself that I'm not a savior. Maybe it's not the time for the person. So that's what I do. Because previously I tried to so-called pull through these people, but the thing is, trying to change people is always futile. No matter what, how much tricks our human ego can do, but trying to change people, through our actions is more like an illusion.
Absolutely. I used to try this as well. I think it is common to healers. I used to try so hard to make people happy. And what will happen is, in trying, we used to fall out.
Absolutely, you're so right.
And then...
And it is we who are getting frustrated. We are, oh my gosh, you're not listening to me. Oh my gosh, you're not listening to me.
Exactly, yeah. And then, I came across Access. Access tells us, honor other people's choices. If somebody is unhappy, honor their choice. So what if they enjoy that unhappiness?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that kind of shifted my perspective altogether. Okay, so if you are choosing to be unhappy, if you are choosing to be depressed, I totally honor you. I will allow you to choose that. That changed quite a lot for me.
Great.
And the
Great
relationships improved because I'm not trying hard to invalidate them. I'm validating, okay, you are powerful as anybody else and you are choosing this, that's fine. And sometimes when we do that, people step up and change. That's really interesting.
Absolutely.
That's really
Absolutely, yeah. Sometimes when we just let go, and they are the ones who come to us. Hey, what's the secret? You always remain in good health.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay, and how do you think 2012 changed the consciousness, or how did the mass consciousness change in 2012?
What I sense is the 21st December gateway, that was definitely huge, and the work is still going on. What the masters shared is that it's still going on. It's just the beginning. Many people thought that Earth would shift into fifth dimension. We won't be living in the physical bodies, etc. There was a lot of glamour around that. Absolutely. But what the masters shared is the world is going to be destroyed, not in the sense that we expect it, but in the sense that we know it.
Yeah.
So more empowerment to people would be coming up, and no doubt people are, waking up to their rights, be it the political movements, be it the spiritual movements. So that's definitely coming up. And especially the year 2013, this is a year of contrast. This is the year of the divine feminine a lot. The number 13, although kind of stigmatized by many, is actually the number of the divine feminine, which the pagans used to kind of think it as holy. So this year is definitely going to be a lot about the contrast, from where we will begin to have the asking for the new. Let's say if we would never wish for good health until we had sickness. We would never wish for money if we never had a sense of lack of money, right? In India, if you're aware, there's this saying that Alakshmi is the elder sister to Lakshmi, right? So Alakshmi is the goddess of poverty, and Lakshmi is the goddess of prosperity. So that totally clarifies the concept that first it has to be the contrast, and from that contrast, our powerful asking comes up into the source, into the universe. This is what I want. Not necessarily through our words, but through our vibrations. So a lot of asking is going to be happening, and is still happening here. And what I believe 2012 is, this 21st December brought a lot of shift in mass consciousness, especially in terms of oneness and people feeling safe, and people, standing up into their own power, saying, no longer, we are no longer going to be used by you, the institutions or the so-called, plans of the many, groups which are still operating from fear-based energy. So no doubt there are so many movements going around the planet where the people are saying, no more. We are people and we want peace, no more of that. So it's a lot about power, it's a lot about waking up to mass consciousness, it's a lot about standing in our own power and saying, this is what we prefer. Thank you.
Yeah. And did you find any particular shift in consciousness on 21st December? Because the reason why I ask you is the day, on that day, on 21st December, when I woke up, I felt so expansive. Just so expansive, and I felt different. I just wanted to know whether it was just me or everybody, other people also felt the same.
Definitely. I'm pretty much sure you're not alone on that. For me, the experience was a bit different. For me, the experience was kind of expansive. I was feeling expanded. I was feeling a sense of celebration in the air. But in my own energy, so to speak, I was feeling a release of, a lot more fear-based energies regarding my different relationships in terms of my family, so kind of abandonment thing was coming up, or insecurity was coming up. But the good thing is I was aware about that. I was not allowing this feeling to totally overshadow me. I was aware about that. And I was saying to myself, oh, was it there? Now I know. So, the more the light, the more the shadow, so to speak. So during the time when there's so much of light was pouring on the planet, I was, seeing my shadow. And the good thing is I was aware that I'm not supposed to judge it, but simply observe it, ask it why it is here, embrace it, celebrate it, and transform myself more and more into light. So it took me like good 4 to 5 days to, get back on track. So that was my experience.
Oh, that is wonderful. That's an interesting experience. And following that, I think it was in first week of January or something like that. I was standing on a beach or a garden. I don't remember exactly, but barefoot. Okay, and I was just grounding myself. One thing I sensed was a huge surge of energy flowing through me. And I heard, I'm no longer a victim. It was like, planet Earth was telling me that it's no longer a victim. That was so interesting, because still, are we making our planet a victim when it is not? What is your perspective on that?
Well, that's very interesting. From our human perspective, our personality perspective, which sees others as responsible for our experience, we definitely feel victimized. That's without a doubt. But let's talk in terms of spirituality, in terms of our higher consciousness, in terms of so-called the capital T truth. What they share is no one can victimize us unless we allow it. And now this was a very burning, what I would say, revelation, because I asked my guide back, what about the people, the children who are born anew, and etc., etc. They started to open up this beautiful, like interdimensional matrix of light, showing the book of life or the Akashic records, and that was my answer to it. Like, we are not aware of why a certain thing is coming up. Let's say we are here together on this call.
Yeah.
Yesterday you emailed me. Yesterday you emailed me that, right? But why you emailed me had a previous cause, and then why you connected with me at Oasis, there was a previous cause, and then why you connected with a light workers Oasis, that was a previous cause. So it's like, if we go back, it's like infinity, the so-called absolute cause. Right? So in terms of spirit, what the masters always remind us is that we are always the master, no matter what, and it's just the ego which feels victimized, and the people are waking up. The so-called fifth dimension, many people are living in the fifth dimension. Many people are experiencing the heaven on earth, even when there's separation, even when there's war, even when there's poverty. It's like we are all responsible for our own experiences. You know, the universe is so beautifully arranged. It's always saying back to us, yes, master. Yes, master. Whether we recognize ourselves as a master or not. So whatever you choose is your own experience. Whatever I choose is my own experience. So if you talk in terms of human consciousness or mass consciousness feeling victimized, which is depicted through different movies or different news, well, that's something I would say it's going to come up. It's going to be there for a long time, so to speak, but we still have the choice to tap out of that victim consciousness, and they will wake up to their own consciousness of self-mastery in their own time. It's just their choice. So let's celebrate that. Let's acknowledge that.
Thank you for that. Again, I'm coming back to Earth. You know, what can we receive and what can we contribute to Mother Earth?
For light workers like us, what I've been hearing these days is, you know, the messenger work, the spreading the message. A lot of light workers tend to be away from politics. They tend to be away from a regular life. Of course, if it's the choice to be a hermit for some research work, well, that's okay. But a lot of us tend to become too much right brain, so to speak. You know, we kind of sometimes even forget the left brain or the so-called common sense, right? So for us as light workers, with the gifts and tools that we have to share, it's a lot about going back to left brain as well. And to balance the left brain, you can always use exercising, gym, aerobics, you know, the Sudoku thing, mathematics, and things like that. At the same time, we can spread and teach, which we are doing already. You know, we can connect with masses, we can be non-judgmental with them, and we can teach them. We can share with them the tools that have transformed their perception towards life. So that's what I believe. As light workers, what we can contribute to planet, to earth, to mass consciousness is sharing what we have, sharing what we have, at the same time taking good care of ourselves. You know, sometimes we tend to get lost in the mode of so-called being a savior, or, you know, trying to think or perceive that we are responsible for someone else's enlightenment or salvation, but that is not the truth. God is simply using us as an instrument. If not us, someone else will, you know. So just take good care of yourself, maintain healthy boundaries, and share the light and love, and that's it.
So keep inspiring people.
Absolutely.
Cool. Okay. So thank you, Narmada, for your time. Before we go, would you be able to give us a quote or a message from Masters of Light?
Oh, sure, definitely. Before we go into that, I would just like to share a quote by Melchizedek. He's known to be the universal consciousness, the consciousness of our universe, who is responsible for the evolution of our universe. He shares that the universe is subjective. The universe is not objective. You know, this is something that we can think about. We can kind of like a food for thought. The universe is subjective. The universe is not objective. So let's close our eyes and tap into the Masters of Light, visualizing a golden laser ray of light entering the crown to the spine, through our hands and legs. Let this golden laser ray energy ground us very, very powerfully. The Masters share that it's safe for us to be grounded. A lot of us were already hovering as a kind of protection measure, but no longer now. The call is now to have both feet on the ground and be the Master, be the light. Allowing that laser golden energy to pour through. Deep and fine breaths. I'm going to tune into Lord Melchizedek to transmit a short message for all of the people who are joined up. blessed beings of light, are you aware that how much celebrated and how much loved to go about totally sabotaging the ego, for ego is required to operate on these lower planes. What I'm asking is to align your ego consciousness with that higher self-consciousness, like this stick of salt merging into the ocean, and the moment it merges, it knows that it is the ocean. So bring awareness to your heart center, call upon your ego, at your heart center, smiling at your ego, sending gratitude for all of its help. You may like to visualize a golden cylinder of light entering your head, entering your heart, allowing your higher self-consciousness to reschool the ego, the human ego, the beautiful human ego. You're all unique individualities. All of you are so much qualified right here, right now, in this moment, to manifest your life purpose. All of you, without an exception. All of you are unique and infinite lights. No one is more important or less important in the eyes of Source. For all of you, every single experience that you experience through the physical realms and the inner realms is contributing to the experience of infinite Source. Source beyond mind, beyond conceptions. Allow your high consciousness to merge into yourselves, into your aura. Total oneness. Visualizing yourself deep and fine breaths. Forgiving yourself is so much more important. God, all that is, Source, never holds anything back because of your free choice, your free will. You're always loved unconditionally. You deserve so much and more. A deep in breath once again. We send gratitude to this transmission of light and information. Thanking Mother Earth for the beautiful physical bodies, for the technology, for the vehicles, for everything that is physical. Giving yourself a great big hug, honoring the temple of light that you are, honoring the physical body, the vehicle, which our soul experiences, the physical plane. And at your own pace, whenever you're ready, you may open your eyes with a big, big smile. Thank you for joining in.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Narmada.
Thank you. It's
Thank
such
you,
an honor
Master.
to connect with all of you. Thank you.
And once again, thank you for your time and sharing your insights, beautiful meditation. How did we all get so lucky?
Me too. How did I get so lucky to be here?
Okay, great day, Narmada. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye. Namaste. Bye.